was reading about Zacchaeus. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through a man there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He was a tax collector, but he was a wealthy man. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but being a short man, he could not because of the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, come down quickly. I must stay at your house today." So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. All the people saw this, and he began to mutter, "He has gone to be the guest of a sinner." And Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, "Look, Lord, here, and now I give half of my possessions to the poor, and if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount." Then Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save what was lost." So the purpose of Jesus is explained. But look at the life, what's happening here. So the people, everybody thought this rich tax collector was a sinner. But Jesus is going over there. That's an opinion about this man. You can see very, very clearly. Then he comes and tells Jesus, "I give half of my possession to the poor." And he says, "If anything that I have taken it, I will pay back 4 times. For example, if all the money that he has, it's all taken wrongly, 4 times, I don't think anyone can do that. He'll be 4 times poor. I mean, all the money he got is from, wrongly he got it from. How can he pay, also he's a rich man, how can he pay 4 times? He has to work all his life, whatever he has money, and then he has to give back 4 times. But already he's going to give 50% to the poor. So he's not really that bad guy as we usually think about this man. But the opinion doesn't matter. People had a perception about this tax collector. They thought he was a sinner. But this is what actually happens when we come in the presence of God. Even the little things it prompts us. It looks so huge. Maybe if I haven't made some mistake. Did I do something wrong? I want to get right with God. So the presence of God makes that kind of a conviction in our hearts. Not the people's opinion, which is totally different than the reality. People have so many opinions about everybody else, about even Jesus. But when Jesus asks, even his disciples, says, "What do you say? What do you think who I am?" So it's not necessarily the opinion matter. Opinion really big matter. But the opinion may not necessarily be the correct. Now look at the life of Isaiah, the prophet. A lot of times God called, God's call on our lives. Everybody we know about it. God has called us to do something. We all know that we have a calling in our lives. God has called to do something. Even if you look at Isaiah is a prophet. God called him to be a prophet. And then he looks at the people around, the gift of discernment works, the gift of prophecy works. He looks at the people, woe to you guys, you're not doing the correct thing. You look like a Sodom. Or you're wicked people. Or you're a greedy people. Or people with a lot of addictions. And people, you think, you're not serious. You're thinking about the vanity. And you misjudge people. And self-righteous people. And you're intoxicated. So all these are true. That's his calling. That's Isaiah. He's a prophet. The gift of prophecy works. God has called him. So when he looks at the country, he looks at the people, he sees them, these are the flaws. You cannot please God if you do all these things. And now he goes to the temple of God. And he sees a vision. God is sitting on the throne. His presence covers this. Completely is filled. Now he stands there. He could not even recognize where he is. He looked at it, he's in awe of God's power and presence. And he looked at it, he says, woe to me now. I'm a sinner. I lived among the sinners. I'm not that worthy. So the perception maybe about other people, about ourselves. When we come to God, what God actually, He looks at us. God looks at our heart. And He wants to cleanse us. And He wants to be with us. And He gave a real call there. And He said, until that time, He's a prophet, called to be a prophet. Now, God is saying, who is going to go on my behalf? Who is going to work with me? Who is going to work with me? So when we have the heart of God, it is not the calling, it's not the gift that we have. It's the heart God is looking for. What is our heart? Are we going to, Jesus looked at the Zacchaeus, come quickly. I want to stay in your house. Maybe not all the people tell so much about you, different things. People, they think you are a sinner. But I want to stay in your house. Quickly, come. Maybe you have a call, you are doing so much, you think about so much about others, all these things. But about you want to hear God's call. You want to see yourself in God's presence. That's all matters. If I'm going to stand in front of God, if I'm going to stand in front of God, God is going to look at it and He says, what He says. God has great things about us. Everywhere we read in the Bible, the way God looks at us, the way God has we have our own perception about ourselves too. But the way God looks at it, the way God calls us, the way God wants us to work with Him is different. If you know God's heart, God is always looking for someone can work with Him, someone can walk with Him, this is what God actually did. So, God is looking for us. God wants to, I don't know why I'm saying these things. God, maybe you have a call. But you want to actually meet with Him. You really have an encounter. You have to have here. You have to meet Him. That's what God is looking for. You want to go into His presence and meet with Him. Hear Him.